house. Tony G, JFL's Finest is back, and we're here, JFL Live. We're going to turn the party out. So, before we get started, let's do some introductions around the table. Of course, it's me. You know who I am. It's Tony G. And coming up next is my boy, Johnny Jaguar. What's up?
Oh, man, what's going on, everybody? Hope you all had a good week. Man, I can't wait for this show. We're going to learn a lot of history today. It's going to be a different show. You know, not much sports this time, but we're going to learn about a lot of key things that help build our foundation and current stuff now. But what's going on, Big Hen? What are you up to, big dog?
Yeah, baby. What's up, baby? It's your boy Big Hen. We in JFL Live. It's in the building. We got a special guest, baby. You know what it is. Black History Month, baby. A little bit Jaguar. You know what we doing. And we got a great guest today to go give us a little history. That's what I'm talking about. We've been waiting on it. We had to wait till Tony get back because we couldn't get in contact with him. But now he is here. Joe Tillmon.
Thank you, Big John. Thank you, Big John, Tony, and John. You know what? It's a pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to this ever since we met there at TD Bank. So yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And so all I can say is do ball.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get this thing started. Yo, Tony, give me your thoughts, baby. Welcome back.
Hey, so I'm glad to be back. And let me start with Tony's talk by saying, you know, it's Black History Month, but I will say this to all people, make sure you know your history. No matter where you're from, where your family's from, know your family history so you can pass it on to the younger generation so you don't lose track of your family history. Yeah. Very important. So now that I've said that, let's start with some football, Big Hen. What's up, baby?
Well, Johnny Jaguar, what's going on in the Jaguar news,
man?
Baby?
So as you know, since Tony wasn't here last week, we had a very controversial hiring. They hired a strength conditioning guy that was released from a college program for being racist, and we signed him. And probably in signing first 5 minutes, national media went crazy. Yeah. Well, last week he supposedly retired already because he didn't want to be a distraction to the team. So my question to all three of you guys is, did he really resign on his own power, or do you think he was forced out and that made him the easy way out, saying, you know what, I don't want to be a distraction? And Tillmon, I'm gonna let you go first.
Mr. Tillmon, we're gonna let you go first on that.
You gonna let me go? You gonna let me go first?
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah.
You want me to comment on that?
Yeah.
We want you to.
Well, I would have to back it up and say that I had my doubts from the hiring of the coach, first of all, because the history shows me that he's not going to stay for any length of time wherever he's been. You know, so that bothered me there. So I put my Jag card in a holding pattern on that hire. As I heard more news come out, then I realized how that hire took place. Then when he went and ignored and lied about the coach's relationship with him, that made me even more suspect. So for me, his character is in question when he lied to us as a fan base that he's been knowing this guy, when history shows that they had not even worked together, which he said he did. So not only does the hire is an issue, now we got to look at him, because what's his integrity as a coach? How can we trust him, you know, as a coach? And then when you look at the makeup of your team, and you bring in this cancer into the locker room, well, you know, hey, that was the equivalent of COVID-19 in the Jaguar locker room right there. It was a virus. It was a pandemic, and he opened the daggum box. That's my comment.
Wow.
Tony, what do you think, Tony?
Let me hold on. Let me hit this before I even forget my thoughts on that. And you know what? You hit it, because that's how we see it. That's how I see it as a player. It's like, you know, everything that's going on with this person. You know his character and all this, but they still hire. See, that's what they do. They'll leave all that behind. What did he do? Oh, what was his season like? Oh, what did he? Oh, yeah, they win here. Oh, he's the best strength coach in the world. Oh, that's all they see, Mr. Tillmon. That's all they see. He can bring money. He can bring, and that's what they're doing. And I'm showing y'all on the inside when I be looking at it, like, dang, he was a problem. Why is he here?
Yeah, he was like you said, he was a top strength and conditioning coach in Division I.
That's what they got.
That's what they brought him in here for. Let's be honest.
That's it. That is it. Nothing else. Everything else is like, dang, but what about this? See, they do that. They do that to us as players. And
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. I followed it a little bit, and I wanted to see how the bailout was gonna be, because there was no doubt he wasn't staying in Jacksonville. I just wanted to see how the bailout was gonna be. Was it gonna be Shad Khan that said? Was it gonna be the coach that said? Was he gonna resign? John, as a player, I mean, well, let's start from the beginning. First of all, the coach said, we vetted him. We did our research. Man, if you did your research and your research said, hire this guy, what does that say about the organization? I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, we went through a lot as it is. So,
right.
So for him to say we vetted, I gotta feel some kind of way about that. That's a bad hire. And for me, he said we. He said we, me, the owner, the GM. Man, are you trying to tell me that HR, the GM, the owner, the owner's son, everybody saw this and said, yep, go ahead and do it.
Can I throw something?
Believe that?
Wow. Can I throw something in there, Tony, on what John said? Okay, let's move to the draft. You got the #1 wide receiver, the #1, but then they find some issues in his character. His #1 status, no matter how good, he's dropping. He may go out of this first round. So how can this guy stay in the first round as a strength coach with his character issues? That's all I'm saying. If you're going to grade, stop grading with a curve.
There you go.
I'm just saying.
Just be real, just be truthful, be real, and just do it the right way. All that.
Well, I mean, I don't think he wanted to just be up and keep it real. Hey, I'm trying to win. I want the best people possible. I don't care if they have a track record or not. He's trying to win. He's trying to win right away.
You compensate the best people. The character plays everything. The person. You're just not football, man. Listen to me. It's not just all about football and what they can do.
That's right.
If you can't get along with me, it's a problem. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
We can't. If I had a problem with Marcus Stroud because he got more sacks than me or I got more sacks than him, that's a problem. When he do a technique and I see him and he done got out of his gap and I got to come down to make sure we lower the gap, and I could have just said, forget it, I'm going to do my job, stay over here and let the gap be big and he run down the hole. You see, that's one issue I gave you. Mm-hmm. That's because I'm doing my job. I don't care what he do. See, I could have done that, but no, that's what we do. I mess up, he got my back. And I trust him. And we built that relationship because of locker room, going over his house, watching film, hanging out, understanding each other.
Yep.
Not somebody just you don't get to see, but when you come to work and get on the field, no, it's more. It's more.
Well, I think possibly too, the franchise is desperate. You know, they want to get back to 2017. They want to get back when you played, when we were good. I mean, I feel like they're at all costs to try to make that happen in 1 year.
Let me tell you what that hire did. And you guys watch it. Let me tell you what that hire did. He just put a microscope on everybody that currently works there.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, because you said you vetted this guy, people, fans, media, everybody's going to start looking at all the coaches to see, because obviously your vetting doesn't work.
No, that's do not do that. Not fair. I don't believe that's fair.
It's not about fair.
Who get the last say so? who the only person that can get up and say something about the coaches, the head coach. Now, what did you get Joe Strong? Did you get everybody else's thoughts on this other guy? You didn't, because they're not going to say it.
Well, according to Urban Meyer, he got the nod shake from everybody.
Man, come on, Tony.
And then on top of it, you got to take it a year back. This is after what happened with the players union and what Coughlin left behind. So you got this dirt already around the NFL. Now, I've never played a lick of NFL football, but I sure watched the heck out of it. And when I see some of my top players being traded and can't get money, but then I see money being dropped off to players who haven't even produced. And the only difference between the two is the color of their skin. Their resume was longer, but their performance on the field was less. We had two quarterbacks right back to back that didn't have a resume for Jaguars. I'm not talking about what they did somewhere else, but you never started as a starting quarterback. You always came in, and you get a big money contract, and you got folks leading the league in what they were doing, and they can't get no money. I'm just saying it's some things that we as Jaguar fans are concerned with how the organization is making decisions, and it goes beyond this strength coach.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got John.
Okay, all right. Let's go on.
Let's go to the next subject. Here's a fun topic.
Go ahead.
Tim Tebow retired from baseball, and everybody got bets that he coming to Jacksonville to do some kind of coaching, do something.
No, he's gonna run the Wildcat.
He ain't running no damn Wildcat.
He's not coaching. They want him to actually play.
He is not. Listen to me. Tim Tebow is what, 35?
No, he's like 32, 33.
Man,
Okay.
I'm about to say, what you trying to say, Tony? He played baseball.
Listen,
he ain't stopped nothing. He's still active somewhere. I'm just talking. I just know what I know. I don't know nothing. I don't know about Tim Tebow, but all the Florida people, they say he's good. He's good. I mean, what if he can do it? I mean, Tom Brady did it. He's 38.
Well, you got to remember what Tony says. You got to take him and Mr. Tillman with a grain of salt because they bleed that Florida State color. So they're going to be a little biased, a little hard on Mr. Tebow. But I'm with you, John. Like, I mean,
if he can still play. Now,
yeah.
I don't know what they would do. I don't know none of that. I'm just saying. If he
I think that, and don't get me wrong, even as a Florida State fan, I have said this for years. With all the problems we've had with quarterbacks, history just says we should have brought Tim Tebow in the first place. I'll be the first one to say it. But now, fast forward, I mean, I think Tim Tebow is more of a
distraction. You can't bring him to this with Trevor Lawrence and stuff. He's too much of a distraction. And the problem is it's not his fault. He doesn't cause a distraction. It's what comes around him. Right. And that's the craziest thing.
It's Elway's fault. I don't care what nobody else say. Elway messed up his career. We're going to move on.
Hey, man, so a quick question on this one. Every time I look online, I'm just seeing everything about Trevor Lawrence is not good. What's going on, Johnny?
I haven't heard anything. I heard top prospect. It's a win-win. They're trying to get number 2.
No, these are coaches. These are people.
These are coaches.
I haven't seen that at all. It's all top flight. I
think you don't want to see it. That's the problem.
Don't want to see it. I mean, he's been a prospect since he was 13. I mean, Bucky Brooks was on yesterday saying how great he is. Did you watch his combine he did, his pro day? Oh my God. He was a monster. They could not stop talking about this is a shoe number 1 pick. This is Andrew Luck. This is Peyton Manning. This is John Elway. Come on, guys.
What?
Top doing, but you guys would be willing to go against the grain and get somebody else.
I didn't say nothing. I'm just telling you to talk.
Listen,
but
listen. So I hear you, Jack. I hear you, Johnny. But did you see 24/7 Talk where they said that many NFL team GMs and coaches have said that Zach Wilson is better than Trevor Lawrence.
Man.
That came out yesterday.
You can't believe all the pre-hype, man. When someone's been recruited so heavily, so watched for so many years, and being the top in his position, top middle schooler, top high schooler, top college. Now it's going into the pros.
John, that's what you're doing. You're doing what he's doing. He's doing it on the other end. That's all.
That's right. We're both great at what we do. So I mean,
and he
let's not knock us.
Let me tell you.
But let's stop talking about this Jaguar talk before I get all fired up today. Because Tony out here talking that blasphemy over here.
Let me help you out. I was. Let me put my face in there. I was a high school All-American. I was college Outland Trophy. But man, when you get ready to step into the next round, each round was different. I got through college and I was the greatest in my position. I got to the league, all that was erased. All that was nothing. When I got on the field, I don't care about you winning no Allen Big Hen. We don't care about everybody in there double teamed the crap out of me, blew me out the box. They didn't care about all that, John. They don't care. It's a new day for you.
But what happened though? You became a great top NFL player, just like he's gonna be.
I ain't no punk. I ain't gonna let you just run over because I'm a rookie. Hey, you see the mentality? Now he has to come in there. Look, they might do something the first play. Like I said, I got double team knocked up out of there. It woke me up. They weren't finna do this all training camp, not today. So his mentality got to change. He got to become the pro real quick. You feel what I'm saying? Because you finna go into a starting position. You got to take your game to the next level. What did you didn't do in college that you got to do 10 times in the league? That's the difference. That's the difference in it right there.
I got a question for everybody. John, I'm gonna start big hand. I'm gonna start with you on this because I really want to get your thoughts on this. Houston got all these problems because the players keep saying the owners are lying. So if an owner keeps coming to players and lying, if you're at the end of your contract, John, would you stay?
I'm not staying for the owners. I'm staying for the players. I'm staying for what we have there at the moment. And it's hard when everybody start getting traded and this and that. Because when I was the last one on there and everybody gone, Marcus, Mike P, Brady T, all them, it's just like, man, it really I lost something. And yeah, it's a different. Yeah, you ready to go then? It's like all of them gone. It's like you just took everybody away. I stayed for this. I came back for this. I didn't want to go nowhere else. I signed another deal to stay here. Cause it was look, man, I wanted championship. Money was never go anywhere. It's always was go be there. But get a ring here and get a championship and get this. That's forever. That's forever, and that was important to me. So
Deshaun Watson said, and I remember how it started. First, he said, hey, you know what? The ownership came to me and said, hey, we want you to be a part of the hiring of the coach and the staff and the da-da-da. And Deshaun Watson was like, wow, they came to me and asked me. That's pretty cool. And then they didn't include him. And then, so he asked the question, hey, are y'all thinking about getting so-and-so? You thinking about getting so-and-so? And they were like, yeah, we're going to interview him. And then they didn't.
I don't know what Houston doing, man.
So you asked, so my opinion on this, it depends what kind of player am I. Am I Big John making the top dollar, top of my position, or am I special teamers, not making that much? And possibly if I get traded or released because I open up my mouth, I might not get picked up again. So I think it really depends on your position of hierarchy on the team. So if I'm making hardly any money, and this is all I have. I'm playing, game to game, season to season. I'm not saying nothing. But if I'm a big name person, you can afford to open up your mouth and say something. Unfortunately, it sucks to say that, but that's the truth. Do you want to eat in the NFL or do you want to be out the NFL? I mean, look at Colin Kaepernick. I hate to say it.
If you Deshaun Watson, and let's be honest about this. You Deshaun Watson, and so every week he is identified where he's been lied to, and then JJ Watt stands up and says, "Hell, they lied to me too."
And he's what happened to JJ. He got released last week.
Listen, if you're Deshaun Watson at the top of your game right now, and I mean, let's be honest, that kid is at the top of his game. And so now, I don't know if you guys saw the press that came out yesterday. The Colts said, hell, we may take him and JJ Watts. And then all of a sudden the Broncos said, we'll give up whatever we got to get him. And Houston said, no, everything's fine. We got it. We're really working it out with Deshaun. And Deshaun came back and said, they lied. I ain't said nothing to them. I mean, what is happening?
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
So
look here, man. It's time for Black History Month. I just want y'all to know this because it's getting that time. You feel what I'm saying? So, Joe Tillmon, we here. Tony.
All right. Appreciate it. And do I have control of the screen now?
You do. Tell everybody who you are, man.
All right. My name is Joe, aka Hot Wing Tillmon. Grew up on the north side of Jacksonville, right in between Rains and Reebok. And as you can see today, I'm wearing my Black History shirt, baseball, my baseball shirt, and it's the Negro League, so I'm wearing that today in honor of the baseball. And going back to history in Jacksonville, my oldest brother and his friends started a group called the Astro Gents Men's Club. And they were responsible in the 60s for starting the first organized baseball league on the north side of Jacksonville for Black kids. So in the 60s, we played over on Scott Park, and then we played in Singleton Park, and your Gaffneys and your LeCounts. We all were in those league. Coaches like Stink White and my team was the Vulcan Tigers. Well, that started Pop Warner in baseball, which those same Astro Gents men started Pop Warner football. And that's how the Gators got their first Black quarterback. That's how the Gators got their first Black kicker, Greg Coleman, through this Pop Warner football league of Black men who decided to do something for their community. So I just wanted to share that because it's near and dear to my heart, because that was something they did not have to do. Back then, if you wanted to play baseball or football, you had to wait till you got to junior high at least to get in some type of organized athletics, because there was nothing going on in the earlier stages. So we were at a disadvantage as Black youth during that time because our counterparts were in organized in Little League, where we didn't see this organization until we got into junior high. So with that being said, I'm so happy and so proud to be here to do the Black History Moment. And I want to make sure that I am sharing my screen because I do have a PowerPoint presentation. So Lex, do I have share capabilities? Hey, Lex.
All right, so while we're waiting for Lex here, so what got you into being a historian in Black history? What got you to be like that?
Yes, sir. And that's a good question. Let me do this. I was in the 5th grade, and my first half of the 5th grade was all Black school on the north side, right there on Avenue B. After the Christmas break, I went to elementary school next to Reebok at that point. And that elementary school, we were studying history. At that time, we called it social studies. And we went out for recess. And my classmate, who was white, and we were friends, he said, Joe, y'all were only slaves. And I didn't have nothing for it. I could not give him anything. So that stuck with me throughout my school up until the 12th grade. I joined the military, and this is my story and my passion. Can y'all see my screen?
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Okay, let's see. Let's go back to share. Okay, and let's see. Host disable. Okay, I need you to disable Lex, and then I'll be able to log in. Uh, well, my story was that I got to Fort Stewart, Georgia, and my second daughter was born. And it's still not letting me share there, Lex. My daughter was born, and she was born with a birthmark that had a 24th Infantry patch symbol right in the center of her chest. She ended up on Good Morning America. The NCOs, senior NCOs from my unit, the Black NCOs, called me up to headquarters to ask me, what do you know about the Buffalo Soldiers? And I said, who? And they said, the Buffalo Soldiers. And I said, nothing. They said, well, you need to go learn. Now, back there in the day, we didn't have the hip to grab it in Google. I had to go to the library and look at that microfiche. And when I pulled up the Buffalo Soldiers, I found out that they were the first Black enlisted unit, all Black enlisted unit after the Civil War. And on July 28th, 1866, Congress authorized 2 cavalry units and 4 infantry regiments. And my mind went all the way back to the 5th grade and said, why wasn't this up in the history books back then when I read about all these things that they accomplished? So that got me started. From that, I started researching. Then I found out that we had, and I'm going to check and see one more time, see if I'm ready. It's still not letting me get in, Lex, still not letting me get in. So I'll just keep it moving and we'll catch up with the slide when I can get in.
Okay.
I went back to 1775 and saw that George Washington was fighting the British, but there was blacks on each side. The history books only talk about Crispus Attucks, who was half black and half Native American, but they don't talk about the freedmen of color in 1775 who fought with George Washington. They don't talk about the blacks who fought with the British. Both was promised freedom, but at the end of that war, both was put back. We were put back in slavery by George Washington, and the British took some of the blacks that fought for them, which was called black loyalists for the British. And if you fought for the with Washington, they were black patriots. Well, the loyalists was taken up to Canada, and that's how some of the blacks arrived in Canada because they took them up there and let them settle in Nova Scotia. There was also some additionals that were taken over to Trinidad, and the citizens of Trinidad identified those blacks that came from America as the Americas. So that's how we infiltrated into Trinidad and to Canada. Well, you had at this time those blacks who fought. All right, let's see what we got. All right, here we go. So we had those folks who fought, and they were promised this freedom, but yet they didn't get it. Okay, so now here the Revolutionary War has finished. We are back into slavery, and you can see that patch that I was talking about earlier. You should be able to see my screen now, correct?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, all right. That's my daughter Rochelle. This is my son, our son. Before she run in here and hit me in the back of the head, our son in the Navy, and he played cornerback for the Naval Academy and graduated in 2012, and he's in Japan. And my daughter, our oldest daughter is Qualisha, who did 11 years with the Air Force and now is a professor out in San Antonio. But as I was saying, the Black Patriots fought with the Revolutionary Army. The Loyalists fought with the British. Over 5,000 patriots fought of African descent, and they fought with the Army, Navy, and the Marine Corps. You know, you had some women who dressed up as men, and they fought also during this time frame. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Now we get to the War of 1812. We beat the British back. The British ain't satisfied, so they come back in 1812, burn down the Capitol, and then they're coming up the Mississippi. Well, Up until this point, it was not allowed for a person of African descent to join the armed forces because of the color of their skin. They could not join the armed forces. But just like the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812 allowed us to fight because they were about to lose. So every war from 1775 to 1951, we have fought in, but we were only allowed to get in it when it was absolutely positively necessary. You know, up until that point, they were saying, I got this, y'all stand back. Then it's, oh, can y'all help a brother out? Because they were getting their butt whipped. Well, the problem was the law, and the adjutant general would not allow blacks to sign up. So in order for those blacks to sign up and fight the youth for the United States, they changed their race to white in the Census Bureau. So they fought as being white. So when you do your genealogy research, you're going to get around 1812, and your great, 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 great uncle is going to say in the census he was white. But no, he was black. They just recorded him as being white so he could fight. Okay. At the end of this war of 1812, voting came up, and these men who was registered as being white went to vote. And they said, you can't vote, you black. So they said, oh no, they took it to court. The judge looked at them and said, ain't nothing wrong with my eyes. I can see y'all black. But in the census, it says you're white, so they can vote. So it backfired on them. So they were able to vote because we changed the rules. So now we finished with the War of 1812, and guess what? They put us back into slavery again. Now, I'm going to put a pin in it right here because sometimes you hear people say the slaves came from Africa. Let me be perfectly clear in Black History Month. There was not nary a slave that came from Africa. There was Africans that got on a ship and they was kidnapped and brought to the United States, and they became slaves when they were sold. So no blacks came from was slaves in Africa. They was Africans living in Africa. So let's stop passing that rule that's norm or that saying that slaves come from Africa. No, Africans come from Africa. Now this gentleman here, Major Martin R. Delaney, this brother was the highest ranking African American in the United States Army. Understand that the Army rule was that as a lieutenant, that's the highest rank that you could get if you had black descent in you, because no black man could be in charge of whites. So you could not earn the rank of a field grade, and field grades start at major. Okay, captains and below, that's okay, but they couldn't hold a field grade rank. But Major Delaney was not just the first highest ranking, he was part of the militant group. Now, if you go back to Revolutionary War, those militant units, those militia units are moving up through time. They are meeting. Now, it says our country is the United States. So that takes all of this craziness talking about go back where you came from. That don't work with us because we were born here. So you can say that for somebody else. Okay. Dr. Rock and Major Delaney was part of the conventions meeting in the North. Freed men, long before the Civil War, was meeting to free the slaves from the things that they were going through. Now, understand, he said, Dr. Rock said, we claim that we are persons, not things. Why did he say that? Because the government had at that point taken away our citizenship and made us property. So they took away those rich black that was in the US who had acquired wealth. They took their wealth because they made them property, and property can't own property. So Dr. Rock was saying, we claim that we are persons, not things, and we claim that our brothers held in slavery are also persons, not things, and they are therefore so held in slavery in violation of the Constitution. Hear what I'm saying? In violation of the Constitution.
Wow.
All right, all right, and so and for the folks who are live and you have questions at the end, I'll open it up for questions. And if Lex, if you want to monitor that, and they could throw the questions out to me when we finish, and now I'm perfectly fine with that. And it says that no person shall be deprived of liberty without due process of law. That did not happen. Our liberty was taken without the due process. Then he warned the country. Sooner or later, clashing of arms will be heard in this country, and the black man service will be needed. 150,000 freedmen capable of bearing arms and are not cowards and fools. And there's over 750,000 slaves, wild with the enthusiasm caused by the opportunity of striking a blow for freedom. Hear what I'm saying. These men were meeting in Philadelphia, Buffalo, around the United States, holding conventions. Why? They sent an envoy to Africa to set up trade between Africa and the European countries. Why? When the revolution that wasn't going to be televised took place, they didn't want the European countries to come in because of economic need. In other words, Africa was going to provide the raw material for the European countries, so they did not have to come to the United States aid when this revolution started. And ask the question, will the blacks fight? Of course they will. Now, this is March 5th, 1858, way before the Civil War. Now you're starting to see why the Civil War was starting to shape up, because there was an issue going on. And then President Lincoln wrote the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, this is after he's consulted with Frederick Douglass, letting Frederick Douglass telling him what's getting ready to jump off. So he writes this on the 22nd of September, but he can't in 1862, but he can't publish it because the North was getting their butt whipped. So when we had that first major victory, he released the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. However, this did not free one slave. Emancipation Proclamation did not free one slave. What did it do? It gave the blacks the right to join the military and become weaponized and help the North. And because of that is where the war turned. So Lincoln didn't free us. We freed ourselves by going into combat. Now, the movie Glory, hear what I'm saying? The movie Glory shows us as being undisciplined. No, ma'am, no, sir. When we showed up as United States colored troops and the 54th, they were part of that 150,000 militia that was well trained and soldiers. I have the documentation from the field officers that were white that commented on these soldiers during that time frame and said if they had a full army of what we brought to the table, they would have ended the war in less than a month. So that's what we brought to the table. If the 54th is a movie, don't get it twisted. It was not our history. Okay. Now let's talk about the Juneteenth, because we tie Juneteenth to this. Juneteenth, when they say Granger showed up in Galveston and read the Emancipation Proclamation, yes, he did. However, at that point, Granger was doing a customary thing. Why? Because it was United States colored troops in Texas for 8 months before Granger ever showed up. And we freed Texas, ran the governor out of Texas. So when Granger showed up, that was just ceremony. We freed ourselves in Texas. Now let's move it to Florida. On May Day, we celebrate here in Florida. Why? Because on the 20th of May, the Confederacy surrendered on the Capitol steps of Tallahassee. Well, who did they surrender to? The 2nd Infantry Regiment, United States colored troops. Hear what I'm saying? We were the one supporting the Capitol, and the general came in and he received that the Confederacy surrender. The governor of Florida couldn't take it and he committed suicide. So May Day is for the surrender of the Confederacy in Florida, May 20th. Juneteenth is the national holiday, but let's stop those lies about the word didn't get to Texas and the general showed up and he freed the slave. No, those slaves was working in the fields, seeing those soldiers, black soldiers with weapons, and understood that a day was going to come where they were going to be able to walk off that plantation because they needed the Union Army to free them. They needed that because slave owners was moving to Texas to hide from the Union Army in other states. So let's get past that. We were in infantry, cavalry, artillery, musicians, pioneers, and sailors. So we wasn't digging ditches. We were on the front line serving. We fought for the right to be free. Nobody gave us anything. Let's talk about some heroes. This brother right here, let me tell you, he was working in Jefferson Davis' home because Jefferson Davis didn't think nothing of us because he thought we was not intelligent. He talked freely amongst them. Homeboy took the notes, went to the Union Army and gave all the plans to the Union Army. Keep talking, Jefferson. Keep talking. All right. Now, for all of our wannabe gangsters out there, this is a real gangster. Brother Robert Small was in Beaufort, South Carolina. He worked on a Confederate gunship. He studied the mannerism of the captain because he was mulatto, light skinned. He waited one day until the captain left the ship, and then all of the white crew left after the captain. They already had a plan. They pulled up the anchor, went down the river, picked up the families, and sailed through all of the Confederate checkpoints, took the boat to the Union Army, turned it in, and you would think that would be enough for Robert Small. Not at all. He talked with Frederick Douglass, worked shoulder to shoulder with Frederick Douglass to convince Lincoln to let the blacks fight. Then he comes back to South Carolina, run for Congress, and win. That's a gangster. Okay. First Medal of Honor winner. Now there is some dispute on who got it first. Let's not worry about that. This brother earned the Sergeant Beatty earned the Medal of Honor. He served with the 54th Massachusetts, and the 54th was stationed right here in Jacksonville. They went to Olustee Lake. They got in because the commander didn't listen to what he was told, so they got their butt whipped in Olustee Lake, and the Confederacy ran them back to Jacksonville. But how about this? The train that they was riding on, bringing the wounded back, actually broke down. The engine broke down. Those brothers from the 54th got out and pulled that locomotive over 50-something miles back into Jacksonville, the 54th Massachusetts. And when they say at the end of that movie that that was never taken, that is the Sumter was Fort Sumter was never captured. It was. So that's Hollywood. Don't get Hollywood mixed up with the real. Yeah. All right. Now we're not going to go into this movie here. We're going to move past that movie. It's about 10 minutes long, and it just talks about the history of the Buffalo Soldiers, and we'll just keep flowing on that. We can come back at a later time and maybe do that movie on the Buffalo Soldiers. Okay. But after the Civil War, Lincoln had plans for the black soldiers who fought in the Union Army, United States Colored Troops. He was going to have 2 cavalry units, the 9th and the 10th cavalry units, and then 4 infantry regiments, which was the 38th, 39th, 40th, and 41st infantry regiments. Well, problem. Lincoln went to the theater and he got assassinated. Now, some coincidence that we're going to go on and talk about real quick. 2 presidents was assassinated. One named Kennedy, one named Lincoln. Both had vice presidents named Johnson. Both were sitting inside something named Ford. So if you make president, don't get a vice president named Johnson, and stay the heck out of a Ford. Okay. But when Anthony Johnson took over, he vetoed President Lincoln's plan. It took Congress to override it, and the bill on July 28, 1866 authorized those units. Now, the 9th Cavalry was motto was "We can, we will." The 10th Cavalry motto was "Ready and Forward." They both developed those mottos and mindset because they did not understand the word "can't" and "try." Because every mission that they went on was a suicide mission. They went into the wilderness, built the forts, and then the white cavalry would come in and take over the forts. In every Western movie, when you hear that bugler blowing his horn, that was black soldiers coming to the rescue. When Custer got ambushed, it was the 10th Cavalry who came to Custer's rescue, not once, but his unit was saved twice by the 10th Cavalry. And then let's talk about what did they do? They protected the settlers. They also protected the Native Americans. All right. They also laid the telegraph wire, protected the railroad. They were your peacekeepers in the West at that time. the Buffalo Soldiers. Now, in the 38th Infantry, they had one soldier that was different than all the others, and it was a female that flipped her name from Cafe Williams to Williams Kathy and served for 2 years, and only her cousin and her man knew that she was a woman. And then one day she just got tired of doing the soldier thing, went to the doctor, and he started examining. We need a second opinion here. had to call in for some reinforcements. But the later 2 years after they started this unit, they combined those 4 infantry units into 2: the 24th Infantry Regiment and the 25th Infantry Regiments. These 2 were activated from 1866 to 1944, and they disbanded at that point. These 2 went up to 1950, this one here, and this was the last unit to disband in 1951, where segregation of the military ended in 1951 at that point. But let's talk about some officers. Colonel Hatch was the commander for the 9th Cavalry. Major General Greason was the commander for the 10th Cavalry. And this gentleman here, John J. Black Jack Pershing, was later on the commander for the Buffalo Soldiers, and he got his nickname Blackjack. Now, the Buffalo Soldiers' nickname came from the Native Americans because of the color of their skin, the texture of their hair, and their fighting spirit. How they fought is what the Native American admired, and they started calling them wild buffalo. And that's okay. All right. And so that's how we got to that. And right on cue, I like what you said there. Henry O. Flipper was the first to graduate West Point. And Colonel Charles Young was the first park superintendent. He developed the park system that we have today. This gentleman right here, you know him as Jackie Robinson. Let's talk about some black sports. Jackie Robinson played football before he played baseball. He played professional football in Hawaii. He left 2 days before Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. 2 days. He got to California and signed up. Well, no, he didn't sign up. He was drafted. He was drafted into the Army, signed up as in the 10th Cavalry at Fort Riley, Kansas. Later, he met Joe Lewis, who helped him become an officer. He became a second lieutenant in the Buffalo Soldiers 10th Cavalry because he was fighting for equal rights. The base commander got sick and tired of him and saying that we shall overcome, and sent him to Fort Hood, Texas. He got to Fort Hood, Texas, and was the platoon leader for a tank battalion known as the 761st Tank Battalion. Their nickname, Black Panthers. Okay. Patton told them that they were not smart enough to operate a tank, but less than a year later, they became the fighting force for the tank battalion in Europe. They led all charges. Matter of fact, they spreaded them out to make the Germans think there was more blacks in Europe than what it was, because they didn't want to mess with them tankers. But let's go back to Jackie. Jackie was so good at being a leader till the commander asked him if he would go to war, because Jackie had a waiver because of his ankle. He messed up in football. We know about them injuries, right, John?
Yeah.
So he had a lingering football injury. And so he went to Belton, Temple, Texas, riding a bus. He was told to move to the back of the bus. Government regulation said Jim Crow could not make you go to the back of the bus. So he took Jackie to the MP station, told Jackie, charged Jackie with drunken disorderly conduct. Jackie had never touched a drop of alcohol in his life. His commander knew it, so he did not charge him. The Army got upset, put him in another unit where the commander wanted to charge him. Jackie got smart, sent a letter to the adjutant general, got an honorable discharge, and that's how he became the baseball player that we know today. If it wasn't for Jim Crow, Jackie would have went to war. So sometimes Jim Crow could work in our favor. All right.
Wow.
All right. And go ahead.
Let me ask you this: if you could name 5 black athletes that come to mind that set that trend for the future, who would they be?
Wow. I would say, well, I have to throw Muhammad Ali in there first as one. Jackie Robinson, and as an athlete, Jim Brown, Lou Alcindor, And in the modern day area, I have to go with LeBron on his social stance. So
Oh,
he don't shut up and dribble.
Oh, you can't talk LeBron on this show, man.
Well, look here. Y'all asked me to speak the truth, so I got to speak truth to power. so, so, so on that note, I'm gonna end with the Harlem Hellfighters of World War I. Reason why I'm ending with that is because they had a band that was out of this world. The Harlem Hellfighters band. They went to Europe and they went over there and showed out. James Reese Europe was the head of the band. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because all of us know about HBCUs, and the game is okay, but everybody want to see what? The band. The band.
Yeah.
Every band director back then was picked from the Harlem Hellfighters for every HBCU and started the tradition that we know today. So on that note, I don't know how much time we have, but I'll open it up for questions.
fam, you baby.
Wow. Wow.
So that's our history. And
Man.
it's our history, your history, American history. Don't get it twisted. We were a part of it from the beginning and every step of the way. So when you say Black History is in February, just know that that's just like your birthday. We celebrate it at a certain part of the year, but we do it 365.
Yeah, amen. Amen.
So
I'm gonna lead off with a question. I have a couple questions. So, like you said, there are 5 Black athletes that you would say made a big difference. I know all 5. I didn't know any of the war guys. Why do you think that no one, and they're not household names compared to, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muhammad Ali? Like, why don't you think there's such a big gap of not knowing those guys compared to the athletes?
Social media. So we're not social media, social justice. And let me say this, give you a good example. Every kid in the United States grew up hearing about Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders, right? He charged up San Juan Hill, biggest lie America ever told. Teddy Roosevelt never charged up no hill. Teddy Roosevelt was on Kettle Hill. He was escorted up San Juan Hill by the Buffalo Soldiers. And when he got to the top, there was a Buffalo Soldiers holding a flag of the U.S. and his unit flag. Teddy was so irritated when I told y'all about the movie The 24th. He took vengeance on that unit because that's where the unit was from, the 24th Infantry Regiment. He didn't allow the Buffalo Soldiers to bring their horses, which was the most experienced cavalry unit. He put them Rough Riders on horses. Those Rough Riders hadn't spent a day in the military. They wasn't rough. They were polo pony experts. John, back to you.
Wow. Go ahead, Tony. You got a question, Tony?
yes. So Jacksonville history. So I here's something that I know. Jacksonville put out more. One of the top cities to put out more Black NFL players than any other city.
Oh yes, William M. Raines being at the top.
I don't know about that, but I think that when we start talking about the history and in the city of Jacksonville, who sticks out for you as an athlete?
Wow. Well, I got to go with Bob Hayes first, because as a child, I used to watch him on Cleveland Road. He would be running it on the off season in his Brogame boots down Cleveland Road, and so I was a Dallas Cowboy fan because of him. Then Harold Carmichael back in the day, because you had 2 receivers back then for Reigns. Harold Carmichael was on one end, Kenny Burrow was on the other. As in a high school, that ain't fair. So yeah, those are just some back in the day names that jump out. Now modern day area, now the Gaffney, you can't miss him because he broke the color barrier for the Gators. So we have so many names that are prominent. Butler, Leroy,
Artist Gilmore. Come on now.
Artist Gilmore, Pembroke Barrel. I mean, you can go around the horn, and I'm just calling because it's Black History Month. I'm calling Black athletes, but on both sides of the coin, doing in our history as a sports fertile ground, we're in there as Jacksonville.
So this is my thing. Nashville just built the biggest Black history music thing of all. Why don't Jacksonville have that big? Because y'all got a lot of people that I hear, y'all got a lot of history. It should be the same size as the one in Jackson and Nashville, and Nashville that got history, but I don't think it's more history. It's more history here than anything. So y'all, I heard somebody say got a museum.
Yeah, the Ritz.
It needs to be bigger than what it is from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. And that's something that we as a people need to do coming together. To like I had the historical society.
Yeah.
And when you are not doing some type of entertainment, our community is slow to respond. Now you put a bikini on somebody and put some bass in it, and you can't even fit them all in a parking lot. But education, sorry, but we just don't respond to educational events like we should.
Right.
So that's our issue, is because it takes dollars.
Right.
And the corporate America is not going to give us dollars to educate ourselves. Now they'll support the Bud Fest or whatever, something like that, but corporate America is not dropping dollars on the things that are important.
Well, it's not going to make money either. Well, let's be honest. I mean, they're out there for money. You put bikinis on. You got a whole city out here paying $5 to get in here. But looks like there's some questions on Facebook here.
Can I ask you a quick question? I got it in. To answer that question, Mr. Tillmon, that part, you know what you got to do? And I figured this out because when I'm trying to do my organization, we gotta infiltrate. You gotta infiltrate sports education, business, sports. You got to put all that together because it all comes together. I wish I had all of that in one area that I can learn sports, then I can go get educated, then I can go learn business, then I can learn whatever else that my field. If I had all that in one, and I had that, when you just throw education to sport, I believe just putting it all together.
Right.
If you have a educational, call me so I can do the sports and we do it together. Bring it in. Now all the kids go, hey, we're going to get educated first. You go over here. You do whatever's in plan. We come out. We do some sports. We do some training. At the end, we break it out and end it with education. That's how I believe that it can all come together as one.
Exactly.
So like I said, I'm putting it out there.
All right. They wrote a song.
We can do that.
Yep.
Hey, listen.
We can do that.
We can't leave because somebody sent a question in, and I didn't know this.
Go ahead.
Somebody sent a question in about Hispanics in the Buffalo Soldiers.
Yes, there were Hispanics in the Buffalo Soldiers. The Buffalo Soldiers went over to the Philippines, and some of them actually left the Buffalo Soldier units because they had an issue with fighting against the Philippines, the citizens of the Philippines. So, and then there were some Philippines that joined the Buffalo Soldiers and came back to the U.S. as Buffalo Soldiers. So yes, and then when you look at World War II, these brothers right here, the Rafael Hernandez and his brother, were responsible for adding that Latino flavor to the 369th Harlem Hellfighter Band. And in New York, they have a museum named after them, and they influenced the Latin music culture from what happened there in France. So yes, we did have Hispanics, and actually next month, I believe, is the Filipino. We talk about Puerto Rico and how the fact that Puerto Rico has more people, citizens, that fought for the United States than any other state in the United States, but they're not a state of the United States. Now, how crazy is that?
That's crazy. Wow.
Wow. And we're gonna be talking about Hispanics next month. Is gonna be a high Hispanic month. So we're gonna keep it going. I like being educated on this. I mean, a lot of people are asking questions, and we're learning a lot from this, and I enjoy these kind of conversations that I enjoy.
It's not history.
Yeah.
And as we talk about history, so I don't get no backlash. Edgar Bennett, Leroy Butler, part of Black history.
Yes. And real quick, we talked a lot about the men, but the women, need you to Google Ray Montague. She was the first person, period, black, male, female, didn't matter, to design a Navy ship by a computer. Now, as a child, she was told
Wow.
that she needed to just learn how to have babies and cook. But she later, later she was the equivalent of a Fortune 500 CEO for DOD, briefing the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We know a lot about the Tuskegee Airmen, but their Tuskegee Airwomen was flying and training the Tuskegee Airmen. And last one is the 6888 Central Postal Battalion. These sisters were told to get the mail online because the white unit before then had the mail 2 years behind. They were told to do it in 9 months. They went into Europe and got it done in 3 months, and it was never late again. So just a little bit of history about our sisters who served as well. And next month is Women's History Month, so we can go more into detail on that.
So I got a question for you. So you being a historian, you talked about the movie being incorrect. How does that make you feel when you watch a movie and you know it's wrong compared to the true story?
Well, you know what? The movie is Hollywood. I don't have a problem with that. This is where my issue comes in. When they take the movie and create lesson plans to teach our children a Hollywood movie. See, there is no other history being taught, movies that is being shown, and then a lesson plan is created to create fabricated history, except ours. We're the only ones that get a lesson plan on the Buffalo Soldiers that is so incorrect and so wrong. But you got a teacher's guide and student lesson plan. The 54th, you got a lesson plan to teach that history on the about the movie that is incorrect. That's my issue. Stop. There's a book out there, the lies my teacher never told me. So we as a people have to correct. And then there are some authors out there, unfortunately, that are well respected and just as wrong as the day is long. And every time I get a chance to get on a conference call with them, I enjoy it. Ain't no PhD behind my name, but I know what prime resource is, and I can go find that fact. And every time you get out here on the stage and try to put out fabricated information, I'm gonna call you out.
Now, Mr. Tillmon, if anybody want to know more history from you, how can they reach you?
It's real easy. JoeTillmon.com. And just spell it with an O and not an A. www.joetillmon.com. And that's TILLMON.
You have a show. You have your podcast that you was doing.
Well, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. But every now and then I've been doing live shots on Facebook and really working with our Duval County school systems.
I like that.
Mr. Tillmon just broke up a little bit, ladies and gentlemen.
His mouth's open, but he's talking still.
He's still talking. Okay.
That's a great pose, though.
Yeah. So, I don't know if he can still hear. You can still hear Mr. Tillmon. I know we're getting ready to end this show. Can we get him back on? Can we get him on before we get off? Is he coming back?
I don't see the movement.
I know I don't see. Super free. That's super free. But ladies and gentlemen, man, did he come? Wait a minute. We got to give it a second. But man, that's some great history, man. That's a lot of history, man, that I didn't even know about.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You got everybody Googling.
I know, and that's good, man. I that's why I was just listening, and Jacksonville got so much history. That's why I brought up the library. It should be, because I'm just like y'all all draft. Y'all got more athletes. It's just like it needs to be bigger.
It comes like you said, the money though.
Well, I mean, I didn't know nothing about it. When I got to Jacksonville, I would have happily put some money towards helping build another. What's the name? It just didn't know too much about it. I didn't find out about a museum until I got back from Oakland.
Yeah, we're gonna have to reach out to Brian Dawkins and a lot of these other guys and come together and put something together. But there's a lot of history here.
There's a lot of history.
we definitely got the Gaffney family coming on soon, later in the month, and the Gaffney family has set some great history itself.
Yeah. So we definitely gonna get out. Yeah, also got coming next week, and Paul Spicer got coming next week.
Yeah.
I just got in contact with Dante Starward. He gonna come in March. So we got some lineup coming in, man. Y'all need to stay tuned. But yeah, y'all, this is JFL Live. We thank y'all for tuning in to Black History with Joe Tillmon. Even though he gone, where you at, Joe? Where you at, Joe? Where you at, baby? But we love him. Hey, do more. The world. We up out of here, baby. Yeah.
JFL Live. We out.
There he is.
I think the licensing, I was talking too much and they shut me down.
Yeah, we was ending the show, Mr. Tillman, and just letting the people know we out of here.
All right. Okay. And I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you,
Mr. Tillman. Thank you so much. Obviously, we're gonna reach out to you again because we got a couple of things coming up, and every once in a while we have a cooking contest. I should have won last month, but he cheated on me. But
got you.
Mr.
Okay.
Tillman, do you have any more PowerPoint slides on other stuff too as well?
Oh yes.
So this is my thing here, because I understand Black History Month. There should be more than 1 month. It should be all the time. So if you agree, I'm gonna speak for Tony and John and Lex. Maybe once a quarter to come on here. That's every 3 months, and do a presentation of maybe a different thing. I think that would be powerful, because the problem is I think a lot of people understand Black History Month. It's February, but when March happens, they just forget about it.
Yeah.
I hate to say that. Out of sight, out of mind.
Well, it's true, and I appreciate.